Hi, I'm Captain Mike Raven with Fishing Florida Flats. It's Friday, so this is the weekly fishing report. If you would, subscribe below so you get notifications every time we post one. Recently, we had a closure on redfish and snook from, up to Pasco County. Just want to say a few things about it. Our fishery is not really getting hurt with red tide. We have no signs of red tide here. The snook and the red fishery they're healthy. Numbers are not changing because of what's going on right now. We've seen if anything, decline in number over the last few years, but what's going on right now is not hurting our fishery one bit. Maybe them closing it for a few months will help rebound a little bit, but that's to be seen. So moving on about the fishing. The redfish bite has been great. Early morning, the higher end of the tide, start of the outgoing, the bite has been good, primarily on live greenbacks. If the bite's kind of slow, we've been cutting the tail, getting them to bleed a little bit. Also, it slows the bait down a little bit. And redfish, sometimes when they're sluggish, they'll feed with their nose as well as they will with their eyes. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. The snook bite is still really good. We're having to chum up the water a little bit, using a lot of live greenbacks. We usually throw them out in a chum bat, get the snook fired off, and usually drift the bait down through there, and usually you can get them to go. Sea trout bite is still kind of spotty for the big ones. We're catching some smaller sized trout, but the big ones have not seemed to push back in yet. The water's still a little warm. As it starts to cool over the next couple weeks, next month, them fish should push in and should be ready to eat. Usually October we'll start to bring in the grouper, into that shallow water also. But right now we're finding some grouper in that 20-foot range, but not finding a whole lot of big ones in much shallower water than about the 20-foot range. Cobia, we caught a couple keeper cobia on the flats last week, but generally the cobia that we're finding are mid-20s in that range. Every once in a while we'll stick a big one. I think last week we got 2 on the flats that were keeper size, but that's pretty much it for the fishing. We'll talk a little bit about the bait. It's thick out there. It's a mixed size of bait, small ones, big ones, and it's been a mixed bag of them, but it's pretty abundant, and it's been pretty much in all the spots we generally catch bait. For what we do on a daily basis, it's pretty important that we get bait. We pretty much live bait fish all the time with greenbacks, white bait, whatever you want to call them. But with all that being said, that'll wrap up this week's fishing report. If you remember, just subscribe below and you'll get alerts every time we post one. Thanks.